You're ready for a comeback. And with Purdue Global, you can do more than take classes. You can take charge of your story, of your career, of your life. Earn a degree you can be proud of and get an education employers respect. It's time, your time, not just to go back to school, but to come back and move forward with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Start your comeback at purdueglobal.edu.
She's seen Encanto more times than she can count. And she can count to 10. She mentioned Mirabel in every conversation. But the moment she actually met Mirabel, she was speechless. That's pura magia. Find yours at Walt Disney World Resort.
5 years, 10 months, and 2 days. That's how long it took to grow the 38 inches to ride on Cali River Rapids. But the moment the wait finally ended, that was pura magia. Discover it at Walt Disney World Resort.
Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month we're talking about go-getters, women who purposefully, or in some cases accidentally, acquired life-changing wealth, good fortune, or influence. Today we're talking about a woman who dedicated her life to her community. Every resource she had, she put towards reporting injustices and publishing the truth. Let's talk about Jovita Idar. Jovita was born on September 7, 1885, in Laredo, Texas. She was the second of 8 children. Her father, Nicasio, would become an editor and publisher of a local Spanish-language newspaper, La Crónica. Jovita's family was middle class, and she attended a Methodist school. This was a different experience from other Mexican-American school children whose schools were often underfunded. At that point, Texas had only been an American state for around 50 years. While Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation across the U.S., those same laws limited the rights of Mexican Americans in towns along the border. Law enforcement abused residents, stores turned away non-white clients, and speaking Spanish in public was frowned upon. Jovita grew up in this climate, and she grew tired of it. She got her teaching certificate in 1903 to teach young children in Southeast Texas. But the dilapidated buildings and shortage of school supplies made it difficult for her to help her students. Jovita knew she could make a difference, so she returned to what she knew best. She went home and joined the family business, reporting on stories of the fight for civil rights with her father and her brothers. She started working for La Crónica. Jovita reported on every angle of the news and activism as it affected the Mexican-American community. She published stories about the Mexican Revolution, about the effect Texan statehood had on Mexican Americans, about housing and school conditions along the border and working conditions for Tejanos. And she also wrote about the role feminism would ultimately play in civil rights for Mexican Americans. Jovita would often say, "Educate a woman and you educate a family." She encouraged women to vote, to stay informed, and to pursue education. Whether a woman entered science or industry, worked in a shop or in a home, she'd need a solid education, Jovita thought. In 1911, Jovita and her family helped to organize the first Mexican Congress. It brought people together from both sides of the border to discuss economic and social issues impacting Mexican Americans. Then, Jovita started the League of Mexican Women, which provided Mexican American and Tejano children with educational support. Jovita's goal was to combat the separatist and racist policies that kept so many kids like her out of better-funded schools. She also pushed for curriculum to teach Spanish and recognize Mexican national heroes in Mexican American history. She warned that if children only learned white Western U.S. history, the child will not know the glories of his nation, he will not love her, and he might even see his parents' countrymen with indifference. By 1913, Jovita took her work to a new level. She traveled to Mexico to work with La Cruz Blanca, or the White Cross, to care for the injured of the Mexican Revolution. When she returned, she started writing for another newspaper, El Progreso. There she wrote an article criticizing President Woodrow Wilson's decision to send U.S. troops to the border. In retaliation, Army troopers and Texas Rangers showed up at the El Progreso offices, armed, ready to shut it down. Jovita appeared in the doorway. She stared down these men in uniforms often seen at the scenes of crimes against Mexican Americans. She stood her ground. If these men tore down the newspaper, she told them, they would violate El Progreso's First Amendment rights. The Rangers eventually turned around. But the next day, when Jovita wasn't there to block the way, they smashed the printing press with sledgehammers. Jovita continued writing. She returned to La Crónica after her father's death and became an editor for a Spanish-language Methodist newspaper as well. She wrote under pen names like Estrella after the Greek goddess of justice. Jovita married in 1917 and moved to San Antonio, where she continued her work. She established a free kindergarten, became active in the local Democratic Party, and worked as an interpreter for Spanish-speaking patients. She died in June of 1946 at 60 years old. In 2023, the U.S. Mint released a quarter featuring Jovita as part of its American Women Quarters program. The words teacher, journalist, and nurse are incorporated into her portrait, as is the name Estrella. All month, we're talking about go-getters. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. We all know that old saying about teaching a man to fish. And as parents, we want our kids to learn the things that will set them up for success. So this holiday season, give kids money skills that will last well beyond 2024 with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families, where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, with parental controls built in. Sign up today at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
Every day, our world gets a little more connected, but a little further apart. But then, there are moments that remind us to be more human.
Thank you for calling Amica Insurance.
Hey, I was just in an accident.
Don't worry, we'll get you taken care of.
At Amica, we understand that looking out for each other isn't new or groundbreaking. It's human. Amica, empathy is our best policy.